We're excited because I have Lisa McNeil here from SunPower by Hooked on Solar, and welcome, Lisa. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And Lisa, this is your third time on the show.
I know.
Yes, I love it.
You're so good at this, so I really have a good time with it.
And here's the difference too, and I think we've been kind of blessed because COVID last year, we were doing it via Zoom, and we are really lucky because we are here at my house. And you actually did put solar on my home. So This is why I wanted to invite Lisa back, because it's really been an education. And don't hesitate to either reach out to me about questions you have about my existing solar. And of course, information will be provided because you can reach out to Lisa to get your appointment. Because you guys, it's getting hot out there. But guess what? It's not hot in my house. I have a little bit of a chill because I am not worried about my PG&E bill.
That's
Can't
right.
you feel that air?
I know. It's a beautiful life, isn't it?
Yes, because I have the panels. So you guys, so here's what I want to do. I really want, if any of you are thinking about solar or have family and friends that maybe just put solar in, or you really have so many, or family or friends that are thinking about it, please listen in. This will be recorded, so you're all good. This is an education, and trust me, being a realtor, I educated myself with many companies before I took the leap over to SunPower. So thank you, Lisa. And you are a wealth of information. So let's just get over to Lisa. I think the lack right here for a lot of people is the education part. So somebody calls you up, they get this. How do they know about you and to contact SunPower, and what makes you different than the competition?
That's a good question, because it is very common that people think that solar is just solar. And they'll start to look into it, or they'll have somebody come by their house, knocking on the door.
Yes.
Right?
Yep,
Or they're out shopping, and they say, and there's thousands and thousands of options for solar. And solar definitely is not just solar. It depends on the system, the panel, how those panels degrade over time, so you're getting the same amount of power that you paid for throughout the life of the system. What are the warranties on that? What happens if something isn't working properly? Who are you going to call? What are you covered for? And again, the installation process of when you put solar on your home, you're putting penetrations into the roof.
Right.
You want to know how they're doing it, who's doing it, and what are you covered for if something were to happen in the future, long term. And with solar, there is so many options out there, and the average solar company, unfortunately, goes out of business within 3 years.
Yeah,
so a warranty is as good as the company that's backing it. So SunPower, we've been doing solar 36 years.
Okay,
and
that's a big deal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Hooked on Solar, just kind of like when you buy your car, you don't go to the manufacturing plant to go get your car.
Right.
You go to the dealership. Okay. Hooked on Solar, luckily, we're lucky in this area. Hooked on Solar is #1 in the nation for SunPower. And that comes from a lot, not just sales. It's not actually sales. It's customer service.
Okay.
The fact that we started out as custom home builders. And so we have that construction background. So it's lack of callbacks for issues with the system.
Yeah.
But basically what makes us different is we're pretty much the only ones that we manufacture. It's our product for every part of the system, and with Hooked on Solar along with the installation process.
And I think that's really important. So if you guys are just tuning in, we're obviously talking about solar and what differentiates SunPower by Hooked on Solar versus the rest. And trust me, I did my work, and it was very foreign to me at the beginning. So please, everybody, do your homework. But here's one big main thing. Yes, you guys have been in the business for a long time. One-stop shop. That was one person that I dealt with, and the customer service was amazing. So it wasn't somebody just a subcontractor doing the solar panels, a subcontractor putting in the SunPower system. It was a one-stop shop. And then, people are going on your roof. And that was another thing. Tell me about the installation, because I loved how my system was installed. And you guys, this is a lot different than a lot of other solar companies.
Right. So what we do is a tile replacement system. With your roof, you had a tile roof. And a lot of people, they get into trouble not because necessarily that their system was bad, but how is installing it, right? Like you can have parts to anything and it could be great parts, but if you don't have the right person putting those parts together, not so great.
Right.
So we do a tile replacement system. So instead of like in most cases, they're just lifting the tile, they could use caulking, and they're just penetrating the plywood of the roof, right? And as we know, caulking can break down.
Yes.
Depending, and it's what's the quality of the items that they're using to install you. What we do is we're replacing the tile. We don't go just into the plywood, we go into the main beams of the home. And then instead of having conduit all over your roof, we're running that through the attic space. And and every single penetration to the roof, because on average, you know, with any solar, you're gonna have 1 to 2 penetrations to your roof per panel.
Okay.
So in your case, I don't remember, I think we had 20 something panels.
I think we had 34.
34.
Yeah.
So 60,
that's why it's nice
that's
and chilly in the
68
house right now.
possibilities of penetrations, right?
Oh,
to your roof.
okay,
So that's
okay.
68 opportunities for something to happen.
Right.
But what we do is we do a flashing system. So there's a flashing, it's not a cheap aluminum flashing, it's a quality flashing, every single penetration. And with Hooked on Solar, because we are the installer, unlike most people, they're lucky if they get a 10-year roof leak warranty, where we're offering 25 years because we are the installer as well.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Everything's been going smooth. And you guys, I did this last November, I think. So really right now it's really fun. And we're going to talk about my PG&E bill, because as soon as Lisa walked in, that was the first thing she asked to look at. Because is it really working? And it is. So okay, so I think there's just so much. There's kind of like a neighbor gets solar, and then we kind of we're now seeing it a lot, especially because PG&E rates are going up so much every year that we cannot control. And I want control of what I know I'm going to pay. And I think with this plan that I'm on, I love it. And I'm very comfortable, because I was literally going from a $400 to $500 monthly bill, and now this is like $70. But I will say I ended up getting a loan on mine, which is a little bit different, because you can either pay cash. So I pay $250 a month, and then I'm paying like $70 a month, which is still a lot less.
Right. The 70 is actually your gas, right?
Oh,
so
right. So there, I was going to have that anyway. What's my electric?
You pay $10 metering fee a month.
Oh, I'm in the negative.
Yeah.
Actually. Oh my God, I love this. Let's turn on the AC even more. How come I don't have the pool running?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's funny because when we're building a system, like you were saying, your neighbor, we sit down with people, and like with you, we talked for 2 hours, right?
I know.
To build you, to make sure that we're building you, because this is long term. And we want to make sure that you're not receiving a PG&E bill for your electricity, not just today, not just 3 years from now, but
Good point.
25 years from now, right?
Good point, yeah.
And so when we're building people, it's very different per family, like depending, and that's why we ask, like, what's your future look like?
Yeah.
Do you plan on moving people in, moving people out? Your pool, hot tubs, all those things add electricity, usage. And so everybody's different. So, and sometimes people will say, well, my neighbor, they only needed 12 panels.
Right.
And it's like, well, it might be one person. And the other thing is, you want the freedom back. You want your freedom to run your air conditioning when you're hot.
Right.
You want the freedom to do your
And not
laundry
feel
whenever
guilty.
you want to do your laundry.
But you bring up a good point about, let's say the neighbor, they only had to get 12 panels. But I've also seen companies, remember you guys, I'm in real estate, so I see a lot of this whole solar thing, that they aren't quoted enough for their panels.
Yeah.
So they end up having to go back and add more panels. Here, you have been awesome. You got it right, Johnny, on the spot, and you were asking me about how I'm living today and then what my future today is. And so that's how we formulated everything. And I do want to reiterate again, is the one-stop shop, the installation, you took, I think, probably even more than 2 hours with me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I did shop around, I did, and I'm just so pleased. But you were the winner. So, okay, so here's the other thing. People talk about a true up, and a lot of people don't understand. What does the true up mean? So, look, why don't we just take mine for an example? Because I think I'm November. I think that's when I started. And then, and I do want to touch on Pioneer. Does anybody have a bill that has Pioneer? Do you have a bill that's on Pioneer? Oh, she's Roseville Electric.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then let's talk about a couple other things that you brought up earlier today on the negotiation side when you're selling your home. Okay, so let's talk about true up. And then I want to talk about if you're selling your home and you have solar, but it's either leased or it's just not paid for, or it's a PPP program kind of thing. Okay, so let's talk about the true up. So in November I started, and I had Pioneer, but I also had PG&E.
And I had you remove yourself.
Yes, right away.
Right.
You're like, get this done now.
Yeah.
Because there's like a process.
And that's a happens so often. I'm on Nextdoor, and you'll see people like, I have a true up. My true up was 500 last year, it's 1,000 this year, or whatever. What they don't realize is sometimes, we know that systems, depending on what solar system you're getting, some systems, those panels can degrade pretty rapidly, honestly. You can get very inexpensive panels. People think that they're saving money, but what they're actually doing is prolonging more money.
Okay.
But with Pioneer, with the true-up that you're in NEM2 is the name of the rate plan.
Okay.
What happens is in the winter and fall, you're producing, but of course the sun's not out as much, so you might produce a little bit less. But in the spring and summer, you're gonna overproduce and make up,
that's good.
and you'll be making up for that.
Okay.
Right? And so at the end of your solar year, your solar birthday is gonna be November, right? You'll get what's called a true-up bill.
Okay.
And then if you have questions, I always come out and I help you with that.
Okay. But I did call you at the beginning a few times. Okay.
And but on that true up bill, it's basically it's like a balance, a checkbook, right? It's like, this is what your system produced, this is what you used for the year.
Okay.
And you've been doing credits and debits from that account throughout the year.
So a true up, and I want you to continue, but a true up is basically, okay, so it's from the grid, or the
what you've been pulling.
What we get, what we pull, and then from there, I'm either using it and it goes to my house, or it's going to be used elsewhere, right?
So you're using the solar power from your home, but if your system wasn't producing as much in the winter, then you're pulling from the grid. You're using their power, right? But you're selling your power back to them.
Okay.
And right now you're getting, equal credit.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year, if you produced over, if your system gave them more than what you used, then you get a slight credit
back
from them. If you used more than what your system was built for, and that's what most people they get into trouble with, is that their system's not producing either what it used to be, or they were never built correctly to begin with, then you're paying PG&E rates for any of the overage. Okay,
and people need to watch out for that, and that for sure, because then they don't have the right system in place.
Yeah, it could be that they're not built correctly, or that their panels degraded, and so now it's just not giving the same amount of power as it did.
Okay.
With SunPower system, you're warranted for, at the end of 25 years, you're still at 92% production. So we don't have that kind of...
that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so why would you pull off Pioneer? Because Pioneer does not do a yearly true up. They do it monthly. So now, in that winter time, the fall time, they're generating power, right? You're paying for generation of that power, and you're not given the opportunity to make up for it later on.
Okay. And I think for people out there that are listening, look on your PG&E bill.
Yeah.
And do you see Pioneer? And have you asked yourself, what is this? Because a lot of people don't even know what they have.
Because you don't have to opt in, but you do have to opt out.
Yeah.
And that's not to say if you aren't going solar, you could stay with Pioneer.
But still.
But if you're going solar, it does not make sense to go with a third-party generation
Oh my
company.
gosh, no.
Unless they had a yearly true-up, and most do not. Most
and I
true up
probably
every
just
month.
kind of clouded everybody going, what's Pioneer? But I just, it wasn't really doing me any justice. And I had
Depending on what area you live in, some people, like I know in the Bay, they may have a clean energy generation company or East Bay Community Energy, or there's different areas. So yeah, like you said, look at your bill, and if you see an electricity charge and then there's a separate charge for generation, that means you would want to find out, do they have a yearly true up or a monthly? And if they have a monthly, you'll want to pull off.
So if I get a true up in November, let's say, what is my true up right now? This is kind of
right now you're at a negative.
Okay, that's good though, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So that means she's been producing more power that and we didn't want to overbuild you too much because you're not going to get enough credit for that.
Okay.
But we knew that you had changes coming.
Yes.
That you're going to be using things more, and I believe you have foreign exchange students or something that come in sometimes.
Yes.
So we were
Kind of,
building
sort of,
for that.
yeah. Good
So-
job though.
So what we were doing was we built you to give you a little bit of room. That way when those things took place, you had it. Right now, all those things hadn't taken place. So you probably have more credit than actually what you need, which is great because, again, it'll give you more room. Now, long term, we want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, you guys, so sorry about that. I had to go and answer the door because there was somebody knocking on the door who wanted to sell me solar. And I'm like, sorry, I have Lisa here. But if he wants to come in and learn something from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could have done that. So if you are just joining us, we are actually talking about solar. And if you recently bought and your home does not have solar, I think this is definitely a time to listen. Or if you do have a home, just like I've had this home for over 18 years, I thought, oh my gosh, I definitely need to get solar. So, so here's kind of what I want to also talk about, because we are actually on the buyer segment of our, we are in episode 4 of the buyer segment. And so many people, when I'm looking at homes for them, they are now asking for solar because, as you know, new homes are required to have solar.
Correct.
Oh, I was on a walk. And I was on a walk with somebody who had this huge development from years ago, and they're like, "Oh, that's SunPower from one of the builders." So anyway, that's a side note. And I'm like, oh, that's my company that I use. Okay.
And honestly, I'll say I know that there is a builder that we come across sometimes, and people are adding, right? Because when you buy through the builder, a lot of times they're just giving you 6 panels or something, and not necessarily is that going to cover the whole home.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they'll come to me and they'll want to add panels to their current system. But I always give credit to the builder this is true. This is not me just saying this, but I give credit to it says a lot about the builder because by law they have to put solar. Doesn't mean they have to put good solar. And the fact that they are choosing SunPower, which is it's the top in the world, I give credit to them for doing that.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's who I have those panels. So for the buyers that are now, so what I wanted to say was a lot of people are now saying, okay, let's look at homes that have solar if we're not looking at new homes, because there's a lot of people looking at resale. Though we can also look at this because it's a seller's market. People are going to want to negotiate, and so some buyers are like, well, I don't want to take over the lease. And SunPower has a lease, right?
We do.
There's options for that. So we may be up against that if there's a seller and it says, you know what, you have to take over my lease. But I think as a buyer, they might be going, oh gosh, I don't want to take over somebody's lease. And the seller may say, well, why would I pay off the solar so that you, after I leave my house, can save $400 a month? That makes no sense to me.
Right.
So, have you been seeing that at all?
Yeah, leases were very popular in the beginning of solar. That's how everybody was doing it. Anymore, if you have, tax liability, a lot of people are doing loans as well. Because you get the 26% tax credit.
Which I did, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but again, it's educating people because it's not as hard of a sell to a buyer that they're going to take over. Let's say somebody went into that lease 3 years ago. That lease payment, it's possible that lease payment might be $100 a month for a system that is saving them $400 a month, right?
Right.
So it's really like in their heads are like, oh, I don't want to take on another debt. You're going to have that debt,
right?
It's
no
not
matter what.
right. You're going to either pay PG&E $400 or you're going to pay $100 for this lease. So you're actually benefited that they got into solar into this before it's gotten, you know, more and more like anything with the inflation, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually a bonus that they had it. So taking over their lease, really, it's not.
You're
it's
still
not
saving,
like what it,
right?
100%. You're still saving,
right? And they have to, and as a buyer, because it is a seller's market, be open to that. I mean, if it's a house you love, you're going to be saving automatically already, because sellers are like, I'm not paying for this for the rest of the term just so you can save $400 a month.
Right.
So if you're either in the game or you're not in the game. So what happens if what if it is all paid off? It's it was 2 years old, solar. It's all paid off. The transfer and the warranty, does the entire warranty go to the new home buyer?
Yeah, with SunPower, we're pretty unique in the fact that everything on your roof is 25 years.
Okay.
And it's actually under the home. So the warranties are under the home. So, and you don't have to prove by bringing a receipt, because a lot of people, they're like, I got my solar 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know where that paperwork is, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're like my sister who has everything, right?
Yeah.
But
I think she Facebooked and tagged herself on her bill.
But I mean, she literally, she's super organized that way. But a lot of people are not. But with our systems, we have you on file. Okay. You are, the property is on file. So all those warranties go to the new people. And it's 25 years on it. Where a lot of the solar systems that are out there, they're all pass-through warranties. None of them are actually from the company that's selling you the solar.
Okay.
So it might be 10 years on one part, 25 years on another. And what they don't realize, like, does it include service calls? Does it include all these things? So people.
Okay.
So it's really, and I think you're going to see that you're going to get educated over the years too, more and more and more about solar on the different qualities, just like anything else. Like with, you know, flooring, kitchens, all that other stuff that brings value.
This is definitely, this whole process actually has been an education, because I do know, being in real estate, when our sellers would be saying, oh, I have solar, and here's what we were like, oh gosh. And then they would hand us this contract, because there were so many different solar companies out there at one time.
Right.
Every contract was different. And I'm not the expert. That's not my thing. But we would try, and we would have to be able to explain and educate the next buyer of what this is about. But this education, since you and I first met, first of all, it was super clear on the product, the service, what I'm going to be seeing, what I'm going to be saving. But there really aren't many solar companies out there anymore.
Yeah, but the average one, like I said, goes out within 3 years. You're gonna see a change, because the solar rates are changing. For those of you who already have solar and need more solar, now's the time to do it, because the rate plans are changing.
Yeah. But talk about that, or if you can.
Yeah, I wanted to. You went on something. I was going to mention it.
About different solar companies?
Oh, right. The other thing is that we are a little bit, sorry about that. We are a little bit different in the fact that it's much more like, I did real estate years ago, and it's much more like that. So I'm like your person, I'm your advocate. So like, you don't have to call 800 numbers, you're calling me. And if I left the company, you're given a new person. Okay. Where out in we call it conventional solar, the other solar companies, you know, you're getting, usually after the sale, you're getting 800 numbers. And if that company did not exist anymore. Now you're going and you have to go through all your different warranty companies and call the different 800 numbers for that.
Like that's starting to boil my blood pressure right now. Because I feel like that's anything I do.
Right.
Even for a knob. I'm so tired of calling and being in the 800 no man world.
Right. And you know that like whenever you had a question, you just texted my personal cell phone number, right? It was like nothing. Yeah.
And I said, do you want to go for wine? Oh, wait, we're talking about solar.
But all my customers, not even my winos, get my personal cell phone.
And then, look at
Hi. Hello,
so we're
you
on
know what they
Facebook
say
Live.
about dogs, that they know that
they love the
know
solar
good people.
rep. I'm so sorry. But you know what, you guys, this is what happens when you're on live. You're live, and this is what we do. We're not going to pretend. We're just being ourselves, right? Okay, so we're going to start wrapping it up. Okay, let's talk about, is there any credits now? Because I think one was extended.
Right.
Possibly. Okay, let's talk about, because if you guys are serious, and which you should be, if you don't have solar and you want to save some money and you want to know what you're going to be paying for versus PG&E, which I love, and I have really good friends in PG&E, so please don't get me wrong there.
I have PG&E employees that are my customers.
Okay.
They love PG&E too, but they know what solar brings.
The environment as well.
Exactly.
And so I think I want more control of my rates versus somebody else dictating it. And this is really good too for people who are on a fixed income. For a lot of the seniors,
100%.
we have a ton of seniors in our area. They're on a fixed income, and every time they get that new bill from PG&E, it's gone up.
They went up 3 times last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the credit.
Okay, so if you have tax liability, now this is another thing that is really important for people to know. If they've been talking to the door knockers and that kind of thing, sometimes they're not very transparent about the tax credit.
Okay.
You have to have tax liability in order to get the tax credit. Mm-hmm. So if you do not pay taxes, like there's a lot of people, they live on Social Security. Social Security, you do not pay taxes.
Sure. Okay.
Right? So then that's when you look into and you say, okay, you can either create that tax liability by taking it from another, an investment that you would pay taxes on, or you go into a lease. And then the lease makes more sense for people.
Okay, that's a good point, especially since we were talking about people who are on fixed income. Some of those are people that are just that have Social Security.
Yeah.
So you have to have a tax liability. No wonder you couldn't wait to talk to me. You're like, oh, you got a big tax liability. Let me help you here.
And they did extend it. It's 26%.
Okay.
So you figure, literally, if you look at it, it's like, okay, I'm basically somebody's average system size or something. You're going to get a $7,000 check from the government. The government, okay. Right? So you're getting $7,000, and I'm giving you $200 a month to get something new. Right? Because now you're saving every month, plus you get your tax credit. Now, a lot of the loans, you could choose to put your tax credit back into the loan to keep a low payment.
That's what I did.
Right.
Yep.
And most people do.
Yeah.
Most people just want a low. But a lot of it is, you're going to be paying somebody.
Right.
So do you want to pay somebody half the amount?
Yeah.
Or pay and have it go to
free.
something.
Yeah.
Have it go towards the equity of your home. Have it go towards something, right?
Right.
Or you can rent your power that goes up every year.
Which which we don't want to do.
Right.
Okay, is there anything else that we haven't touched on regarding SunPower?
No, we do have a referral program.
Okay, let's talk about that.
And this is important. It's a Hooked on Solar referral program. And so for anybody who goes solar, that's referred. So let's say you refer somebody, like we actually have.
Okay, we did.
Yeah. And so you would get $500, and your referral that you referred, they get $500.
Okay.
And they also get entered into win the backup battery. So with that, for every entry you get entered in, you get 3 entries into.
So if I refer somebody again, Do I get the?
Yeah, you get an entry in to win a backup battery.
I want to win that.
And that's a whole other segment. We can do a whole other segment on backup batteries and why you're going to see that most people in the years coming, because of what's happening with PG&E, you can Google this, the NEM3. Most people, and with electric vehicles, when they have solar, they're going to be going after the backup batteries.
Okay, because imagine you have an electric vehicle and I can't go anywhere because I'm out of power because I don't have the backup battery.
Or you want to charge it whenever you want. You don't want to have to worry that you're eating your peak power, which they're now charging, up to 42 cents.
The world is evolving.
So like I said, we can spend a whole other hour on batteries, but we'll stick with solar.
Okay, so let's just keep it simple. And so if you guys are just joining us or you've been listening, thank you so much for joining Half Hour Power Hour, because we have Lisa here who's actually been talking about solar. That is kind of the buzz. The buzz is the market, and the buzz is, do I get solar or not? If you want to save money, absolutely call Lisa. And if you don't want to save money, I don't even know that answer.
I wish I had that kind of money. Do not want to save.
I know, right? I know, like it's, oh my gosh, it's too much of a hassle. I don't want to save $500 a month. But you know what? If you save it, you can also do something worth it and serve others with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or go on a non-COVID vacation.
Right. Yeah, that would be so nice. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and wrap this up. Anything else that you'd like to say?
No, if you are interested or you just want more information on solar, you can reach me at lisa@hookedonsolar.com. And there's also, there'll be a link on your page, right, normally?
Yeah. And
so, I'd be happy to.
Yep. Yeah. We'll have all your contact
And
information.
if you mention this recording, you will get the bonus of $500 cash back for being a referral.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Hour of power. Just all mention hour of power. Half hour. We can make it an hour.
Yeah, we're good. But I do want you to come back. Especially, why don't we have you come back at the True Up? That would be kind of fun. Yeah, because then you guys will actually see 1 year of. This is a big house. It's 3,300 square feet. Let's see if the tiles up there were. Oh, and I love it. Here's another thing. I love the design of the solar panels because you really can't see. I mean, it's all one solid color. And I had a choice.
Right.
And I liked what I chose. So thank you very much for allowing me that opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So thank you so much for joining Half Hour Power Hour. And I so appreciate your support. This was actually a platform designed for you, the viewers, when COVID started, to keep you updated on the market and answer any of your questions. And so if you have anybody that you would like to see join Half Hour Power Hour, please let me know. And because we want to make this enjoyable for you, the viewers. And we will see you in a week, next Thursday. And just wait and you'll be surprised. Thank you. And thank you so much, Lisa. Have a great day. And you guys, make sure you're kind to somebody today, because one smile can make a difference. You have no idea what somebody woke up to today before even maybe planting their feet on the ground. Have a great day. Be blessed.